Time is 6 o'clock, and I call to order this February 1st, 2023 workshop. There's an echo. Okay. I will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll begin with citizens to be heard. I see none here in Borough Hall. Do we have any via Zoom? Okay, move on to the meeting minutes. So we'll entertain a motion to review and approve the January 4th, 2023 workshop meeting minutes. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
We're having some audio issues. Motion by Councilor Mellon. Is there a second? An attempted second by the Deputy Mayor. Nod if that was.
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That motion passes. Next, Mayor's report. I had promised a report on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the effort to put together an ongoing body that was recommended. I am happy to report that we are a little committee of three of me, Deputy Mayor Landis, and Co-Chair Stallworth met this past Saturday. And after a long meeting that meandered from time to time, but was focused when we got down to business, decided that we ought to take our time, make sure we get the foundation of this committee, determine if we need some additional resources to make sure that the committee has a good firm foundation. During the Truth and Reconciliation Commission meetings, they found that in the effort to take action, that they felt they had a hurried timeline, and so in hindsight, we want to make sure that we do this very thoughtfully and put something together. So there will be more meetings, and I'll report out in the future on that. Next up is Public Works Committee.
So we have our action item. Council may approve the purchase of 150 LED decorative street light fixtures for Hanover and High Streets from Capital Electric of York, Pennsylvania for $193,083.30 through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Cooperative Purchasing CoStars program.
Motion by Councilor Perry for the approval of purchase of 150 LED decorative street light fixtures. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
And B, we have the Noble Boulevard potential safety enhancements. This is a staff update.
Okay, good evening, everyone. In your meeting packet, there's a memorandum staff put together regarding Noble Boulevard and potential safety enhancements to that corridor. Every January, staff looks at candidates for roads for resurfacing, and then based on a number of criteria, makes a selection of the roads that are going to be maintained that year, and then goes forth and does a variety of preparatory actions before roads are actually resurfaced later in the fall. This year, one of the candidates that we had is Noble Boulevard from West Ridge Street east to South Hanover Street. And Noble Boulevard's a little bit unique compared to other streets in the borough. One, it's 50 feet wide from curb to curb. Two, it's 4 lanes compared to 2 lanes for every other borough-owned street. And it carries a lot of traffic, primarily folks driving to and from Carlisle Commons shopping center, and it has a variety of businesses there. Earlier this year, we did a traffic assessment of that area, or traffic count of that area, and we broke it into the section from South Hanover Street to West Street, and then from West to Penrose, and finally from Penrose to Ridge. And what's shown on your on the table that's on the screen, and also included in the memorandum, is that as you go from Hanover Street west to West Street, the amount of vehicle trips drops precipitously. So there's close to 10,000 vehicle trips per day leaving the intersection of South Hanover Street. But once you get to West Street, and folks have pulled in either to the commercial establishments in Carlisle Commons or on the north side of the road, the number of trips drops to under 1,000 on an average day, or excuse me, under 2,000 on an average day. So when you look at the need for 4 travel lanes from West Street to Ridge Street, there really isn't one. Okay. West Street is also the dividing line as far as drainage goes. So when it rains and we have runoff, because it's all there's a lot of impervious coverage in that area. Areas west of West Street flow down to Thornwall Park and eventually to Walnut Bottom Road. And Walnut Bottom Road, as you recall, is one of the stormwater hotspots where we have to, on a regular basis, close the street to travel during severe storm events. Also, Southwest Street needs to be closed as well. So the stormwater master plan that we're working to finalize recommends that council look for opportunities to reduce the amount of impervious coverage tributary to Walnut Bottom Road and Southwest Street. Recognizing that, what we're suggesting to council is that when we go through the road repaving, road resurfacing project this year, that we make a number of changes to that corridor. The first of which is to reduce the number of lanes west of West Street from the current 4 to 2 travel lanes, and convert the 1 travel lane on the extreme southern end of Noble Boulevard to a vegetated lane, essentially. So remove that bituminous concrete, replace it with soil and plantings, similar to what was done on Factory Street last year. On the north side, then, the 2 lanes would be converted, 2 existing lanes would be converted to 1 travel lane, and a proposal to make it a dedicated bicycle, 2-way bicycle lane. If you can go to the next slide, if you look at the borough's bicycle map that Andrew put together, what's it called? Bike and ped map. The green lines represent recommended biking areas that are shared with motorized vehicles. And if you can find Noble Boulevard there, it's located between Thornwall Park to the west, which has a dedicated bike lane or bike path in it, which is number 9. And to the east, you have the Carlisle Area School District's middle school, and also LaTorte Spring Run Trail. Noble Boulevard represents a connector between an off-road bike network on the east side and one on the west side, so that it would be a good candidate to enhance that biking facilities that are there now. If you go to the next slide, so there are a number of bicycle lanes that could be put in place. The first photograph here is of South Hanover Street, right near the Rite Aid, and it has a conventional bike lane with a single stripe and a bicycle character there that provides some space, but hardly any protection. If you go to the next one, next level up, there's a buffeted bicycle lane that has not one but two stripes and a wider area between the travel lane and the bike lane. I believe that this photograph was from the Washington D.C. area. If you go to the next one, this is an additional level of separation. This has the buffeted with two parallel bars, but there is also a flexible vertical post delineator that would go within that area to again designate that as a biking lane and provide an additional level of separation between folks traveling on cars and folks traveling on bikes or other pedestrian powered. The final one has, in addition to the vertical post delineator, is also some type of concrete bumper structure. The concrete buffer structure shown in this photograph are similar to what you would find in a borough parking lot where you want the vehicle to stop and not go any further. Obviously, when you go from the conventional to the next level, the cost investment by the borough increases, but also the level of protection to anyone using that infrastructure increases as well. If you go to the next slide, so these are just some schematics showing the area between Ridge and Penrose on the south side. There's currently 4 lanes there. We're proposing to convert that to 2 travel lanes, with the existing southern travel lane being converted to a vegetated strip that would require removal of the existing macadam and construction of a new curb. But in the process, you save the amount of bituminous concrete that you need to put down from now through any changes made to the roadway. And on the north side, a 2-lane or a 2-way bicycle lane with this shows just a buffeted double strip. There are existing driveway entrances on the north side, and those would be marked by a special marking to indicate that a vehicle can drive into those. If you go to the next one, this is between Penrose and West, and similar treatment here than what is proposed for the area between Penrose and Ridge, where it's a vegetated swell on the south side and a 2-way bicycle lane on the north side. And then final slide, the area between West and South Hanover, we would not make any changes to the amount of paved roadway there, so it would continue to be 50 feet in width, but what we would have is converting the 4 vehicle travel lanes to 3 vehicle travel lanes, with the center lane being a turning lane. and the fourth lane being a two-way dedicated bicycle lane on the north side of the roadway, so that um, um, the predominant turning here is folks turning into Carlisle Commons. So putting the pedestrian or putting the bicycle lane on the north side um, reduces the number of potential conflicts there between a motorist and a bicyclist. The approach to the signalized intersection at South Hanover and Noble would be similar to what it is now, with two lanes um, heading eastbound, one a dedicated right turning lane, the second a throughway or left turning lane, and then on the other two lanes would either be a westbound travel lane or the two-lane bicycle lane. We do experience a lot of problems at this intersection with cars and trucks and other vehicles turning prematurely onto the sidewalk and the pedestrian curb ramp there. Um, that has taken down our traffic signal utility pole several times. It's also taken down PPL's traffic or PPL's utility pole several times. Currently, if you go down there now, it's extremely dark, and the reason it's extremely dark is there was an accident and someone hit the pole, and the two lights that were there came off. So by making this change and having that be a bicycle lane, that pushes the vehicles further out and eliminates the potential for a continued hitting of those utility poles in the future. Next slide. Oh, that's it. So the last part of the memo has some estimated costs there for comparison, just going and keeping the road the way it is now, and how much that would cost for the paving versus reducing the number of lanes and putting in a dedicated bike lane. And you'll see that there's an increase, obviously an increased upfront cost for the additional bike lane, but but it's a relatively marginal cost, and if you would go through a life cycle analysis, it probably would get closer and potentially equal out over time. So wanted to present that to council. We'll continue to include Noble Boulevard in our list of roads to be resurfaced this year, but I would ask for you to consider this and whether this is something that you would like staff to do, and if you were positive to this approach, then we could look at it further from the standpoint of getting some quotes for striping and bicycle lanes and potential delineators and so forth to better refine the cost.
Mark, I believe we respectfully would like to have a decision no later than what, June 1st?
I would say June 1st to give us sufficient time to get a contract for putting in the additional curbing needed between West and Ridge Street.
I've wondered for a little over 22 years why Noble Boulevard was so wide. None of it made any sense to me. I imagine there was perhaps some rationale back when that was developed and dedicated to the borough, but I'm not sure what that rationale was, because it's not a significant stretch of road going anywhere that requires that type of infrastructure. So I think this is a fantastic idea. I'm looking at the numbers, the cost differential between the resurfacing that we we'd need to do anyway, and the enhancements here is relatively minimal. But I'm speaking my mind. That I'm happy to hear anybody else on this point. Any comments? Do we need to wait until June to start making a decision?
A personal is yes to everything all the way. Is that let's use someone else. No, I really think it's excellent. I mean, I've talked about Noble Boulevard before, and this achieves pretty much everything that has been my concern. And also, it takes one of the worst roads in design in my mind to one of the best. And I understand, we're looking at costs and everything, but I do think that when we've talked to people about the bike lanes and they've had their opinions about improved design, we're always dealing with state roads. So I think one of the things that could be great about this is if we do it the way that we want it and the way that we can say this is what we want in our borough, then when we are working with PennDOT, we can say that we've already invested in exactly what we want. And I think that there could still be more improvements on South Hanover right there. And again, I think it's great that we're thinking of, even though it wasn't necessarily completely directly said, but it's a safe route to school, and that's making it as safe as possible to get those kids that are biking a buffered two-way bike lane. But yeah, I mean, I think that when we have the opportunity to do this on a road that makes sense, and we can then use that as our test case of what we would like to see in the future when we don't have full control of the space, would be ideal. Thank you.
Can we see the slide for I guess the last one, number 6, the portion with Chick-fil-A? So I mean, I echo what's been said, that like I think something definitely needs to be done. My one concern with this is if you look at this, there's no turning lane into the Chick-fil-A/Panera entrance if you're coming from Hanover Street. And so I'm just wondering if when you did the traffic study, and I mean, yes, it's definitely much more heavily used between Hanover and West, like how many of those cars are turning into Chick-fil-A and how many are turning into Walmart? Because at the Walmart, that sort of weird diagonal entrance, you do have a turning lane. I'm just wondering if having no turning lane there might cause a backup up to the Hanover Street intersection.
Yeah, so we did not yet collect data at that intersection. I mean, at that private driveway. We intend to do that. The center lane. So there would be 3 travel lanes, and the center one is intended to be a center turning lane, so we could either turn right or left. It's a matter of the amount of vehicles that are queued there. So if you go during peak hour, and for this area, peak hour is generally between noon and 1, or 12:30 and 1:30, lunchtime. There's a lot of vehicles that are backed up, even in the right-hand turning lane, heading eastbound to that driveway, or perhaps past that driveway. So, the intent would be that the middle lane could be used for either or, but there potentially could be situations where the queue is all the way back up to the intersection, which is what occurs there now.
Mr. Hicks?
From everything I heard here, which I really like this idea, it seems like it would be a perfectly set up for a multimodal possible grant. These are the sorts of conversions that seem consistent with what the IIJA, Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, and even the IRA would possibly support. It's transferring single occupancy vehicle to either pedestrian or bicycling. Seems like it would be worth seeing if this could augment this potential budget to see if we could tap into that. And maybe we'll have a better feel for that answer in a month or so. But I'll bet my salary. I'll bet my salary that this is probably going to qualify for that. If you don't mind looking into that. Thanks.
And Councilor Stevie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to add, but I kind of echo the comments that I think on the whole, this seems like a good transition or change for this and for this roadway. And I generally on board with us moving forward with it, moving forward, at least studying it further, putting together quotes and whatnot.
Okay. Yep. Is that sufficient for you to move ahead?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the report. That concludes Public Works. Employee Relations.
I have one item tonight. I make the motion that Borough Council appoint Miss Alyssa de Blasio to a first 4-year term on the Historical and Architectural Review Board. Ms. de Blasio's term will become effective immediately and will expire on December 31st, 2026.
There's a motion to appoint Miss Alyssa de Blasio to HARB. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mellon. Sorry, the motion was by the Deputy Mayor. Any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. And I'm not sharing my microphone with you anymore. I know. We'll work it out. I'm kidding. I'll share. Parks and Recreation Committee.
All right.
Exciting news.
I'm very excited about this one. I move that council retroactively approve an agreement with Landserv Inc. to allow for the opening of the Carlisle skate spot on Lot A at the Fairground Avenue Linear Park prior to the completion of the entire project scheduled for June 30th, 2023.
There is a motion by Councilor Mellon to retroactively approve an agreement with Landserv Incorporated to allow the opening of the Carlisle skate spot, and I'm going to offer my second to the Deputy Mayor.
I second this motion. Yes.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Any comment? No, we're all excited. There's going to be an opening tomorrow at, I forget the time,
3:30?
at 3:30. So I know I am unable to make it, but I hope others can be out there.
Anything you want to say?
No, just we're happy to be able to open it, thrilled to be able to open it. Tomorrow we will have the Landserv will be on site to do some last minute cleanup things, hanging some signs, and we're going to be putting some orange fencing up, and they'll be removing the temporary fence. So after that, it'll be open to the public.
Thank you. And I know there was a lot of pressure from the skating community and from some of us, and we appreciate everything that you've done, Andrea. Everything we put the solicitor through who's not here tonight to try to work with Landserv to get that agreement together. All appreciated, and the kids are going to love it. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's many people who helped with the project, and including all the staff people. I think everyone at this table probably helped in some way with the skate spot. All you guys, especially Brenda. I don't think that it would have happened without her urging of the skate spot, and also with all the residents. All the many meetings we had with them on the design and talking all that over, rules, everything. So, yep.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. There is no new business. This is another opportunity for public comment. If anybody wants to talk about chickens here tonight. No one here? No chickens?
Unless they're called in.
No.
Maybe they didn't.
We're expecting maybe someone. Joyce, we don't have anybody by Zoom?
We do not. All right.
No? All right. No chicken talk tonight. So thank you all. This meeting is adjourned.